Every single morning. And he talks all this stuff
Ah,
saying, I'm not gonna do it this time, and he does it every single time. Look at
oh
him. Do you see the energy
man.
he came with me yesterday for it as well? Going, see, this morning, Owen, I'm not unmuted. Blah, 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 blah. Come on. Come on.
Finished? You done?
I'm just getting started, mate.
You
This
just getting
morning.
started? Oh, I'm Owen, and Arsenal are going to lose because they're not even top of the league anymore. Bournemouth are ahead of them, and they're not even going to win.
Oh, no
And
one's
you
ever said
jinxed it.
anything wrong. No one's ever
You
said
made them.
anything wrong.
You
No one's ever
wh-
predicted anything wrong,
well,
have they?
well. There you go. Then no one's ever forgot to unmute themselves as well.
Mm.
Keep your cards close to your vest, mate. Don't let them know what you're thinking.
I still can't believe how much yesterday that divided opinion. And, do a Google search and you can clearly see that both exist. They're like, Owen, what have you been smoking this morning? Nothing, just coffee.
Yeah, I hear you.
Drinking it,
But
not smoking
good
coffee. That'd be
good
weird.
morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Saturday. The day before the game, we are one day away from the start of our Premier League season. But obviously, the Premier League season started yesterday with Arsenal looking sharp. But as you can see, we are a little bit late this morning. We were going to do our preview now. And then we thought, actually, no, we'll do the preview afterwards. So the preview's coming out a little bit later on for the game. You will still get that. But we had to talk about this De Jong situation because actually the news that was coming out back end of yesterday was that Barcelona actually can't register the players. Surprise, surprise. Who would have seen that coming? With all the levers they've got. Yeah, all the levers they've got. Even the fourth lever won't even be enough, apparently so. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So they better get pulling some more levers and selling some more players. But De Jong exit imminent, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's to Manchester United because there's been a lot made about this. So I think we need to talk about this and what we got.
Yes. So again, this is why we were late because in the last couple of minutes or so, it's been reported by Gerard Romero, who, of course, a Spanish-based journalist, has got increased his profile significantly this summer. It must be said, with all of the craziness that's been going on with Barcelona. Take it with a pinch of salt. It's a strange one with him because you say take it with a pinch of salt, but a lot of the stuff he does say does turn out to be accurate most of the time, but there's a lot of hyperbole going on. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, things are happening, right? Things are happening. Things are happening every day. Things are happening. And
I
if
think
this
it's like
happens,
shots in the dark though, because it's like something big's going to happen. Well, the chances are something big is going to happen at Barca because they keep
but
signing all
Andy
these
also
players and can't.
says
Like I don't
something
know.
big's
It's
going to
weird.
happen every day. Well, if you play your odds, eventually,
Do you know what I mean? Keep shooting your shot. You're going to hit the target once.
yeah, exactly. But
But he is in
nevertheless,
there. Yeah, he is in
he is
there.
there, and he's the same person that gets that video footage of people arriving at the airport, whether it was Todd Bowley, whether it was Richard Arnold, John Murtough, all that kind of stuff. So there is an essence of credibility there, certainly. He has said in the last few minutes that Frankie De Jong will likely leave FC Barcelona next week. Now you would go, oh,
So we're all
finally,
saying good,
yeah,
lovely, wicked, about
finally,
time.
the saga is coming towards an end. Thank God. But he then followed that up with Frankie De Jong will probably join Chelsea. What was your reaction, Flex, when you saw? Actually, I can actually tell them your reaction because I was talking to you at the time because we were getting ready to do the show. We saw the bit where it said Frankie De Jong is set to leave Barcelona next week, and we were like, "Oh, great! Finally, this thing's gonna get done." And then you went, "Oh no," and I went, "What?" You went, "Said he's gonna probably join Chelsea." And I went, because and the reason why that's a bit of an exhale of breath is because that's not the first person to say that over the last 24 hours. There was a thing by Paul Hurst, which a lot of people were saying was an opinion piece as well. So people weren't jumping too much onto it. But
Oh,
I
what
think
was it? Just him? Was it him just giving his view on things? Not I've been told.
well, from again, it felt like, and suddenly it read like, Eric Ten Hag has identified Frankie De Jong as the number 6 he wants, but it would appear that he's more likely to go to Chelsea or whatever. Or the feeling, you know what I mean? It felt
Yeah,
more like,
it
given
wasn't sources say.
it felt like given him saying, well, given the reports from say David Ornstein this week, it feels like maybe it's
Yeah,
more
that's true.
that kind of. It felt a bit like
Context is
that.
key. Yeah.
Context is key. But also, I believe the Daily Telegraph also said that Chelsea believe that De Jong would choose Chelsea over Manchester United. But you could also say Manchester United also believe that he would join them over Chelsea as well.
Man United are 14
Nevertheless,
weeks deep in this. They believe
yes,
they're going to get Frankie de Jong.
exactly.
Say believe
Nevertheless,
it.
the noises from the Barcelona side of things, or the Spanish side of things this morning, is saying Chelsea. However, just a little bit of a caveat before I go to you, Flex, is that I have seen this journalist and these kind of outlets say 10,000 times over the summer. Remember, it was a couple of months ago, he's going to go to Chelsea now. And then the day later, he will join Manchester United if he leaves Barcelona. So I would not be shocked if tomorrow it's, well, if he leaves, he's going to go to Manchester United. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is some of the confirmation biases because, like, we don't know because we genuinely do not know, and I think anyone claiming they genuinely know what's going to happen, like I think I said it in another video, like anyone claiming that they know what's going to happen with this either is higher up than David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, who they've just given the running commentary on what they have, because the last thing that David Ornstein came to with this deal was Chelsea now entered the fray for talks, but player side still very messy. Have no idea what's going on. No idea. And that was the last update we got from real, credible, gospel sources. Because I think you could say once Romano and people like, and definitely Ornstein, both of those two, Romano redeemed himself with the Cucurella one, by the way. He needed that. That's like
And Chelsea's statement as well. Did you see
100%, absolute trolling, brilliant, beautiful, in the exact same line, in the exact same
Yeah,
spacing, brilliant. But then Brighton are still the winners because there's just them
62
stamping
million.
it for 100% for a player who's had one good season in the Prem. But anyway, that's off topic. But with the Frankie De Jong situation, like like I think I've stopped going one way or the other. So if I see a report that backs up the fact that my patience could be rewarded, I'm still a bit reserved because it's still not enough. So if this was Gerard Romero saying the other way round, it looks like he's going to go to Man United, I still wouldn't flock here and say, see, that I
We'd roll
knew
our
it.
eyes.
Like,
We'd roll our eyes, wouldn't
you
we? We would
can't, you
go.
got,
So
yeah,
literally, as you've been talking, he's said again, Frankie De Jong to Chelsea is very hot. And again, to go back to our original point, that's kind of what he does.
there you
He
go.
says stuff like
Frankie
that.
De Jong to Manchester United is still very hot. Like,
But to your point, I think you're right. If we had heard that that was United, you would go, of course it
I'll
is.
just wait. Yeah, I'll just be like, well, okay, I've heard that. I heard that 13 weeks ago, I'd say. I heard that during the middle of our pursuit from him. And I just think until we get more concrete stuff, I think the biggest thing to talk about here, potentially, not potentially, this was my opinion. I think the biggest thing to talk about here is the fact that they can't sign the players. They can't register the players because there was this barrage of reports or surge of reports that was trying to claim that basically, and we said this when all these levers situations were being explained, and was like, well, that's great. You can sell these rights. You can sell this BLM. You can sell this. You can sell that. Sell your TV rights and stuff. But it isn't all now. It isn't. It isn't all now. And I saw Samuel Luckhurst put a piece out or a tweet out saying that there was this misconception basically that Barca was all of a sudden a well-run club again. That was never going to happen. In this same summer transfer window, and it is official that La Liga have said you can't sign any register any players. So it looks like all these players have been signing. We're like, how are they doing it? It's like Samra Hunter said, goes into the computer. You can't fool the system. Computer says no, mate. Computer says no, and the
That
computer
was
has
it.
said no.
Yeah. And I remember a lot of reports were saying at the time, I think we covered it here in one of the morning shows, was that the money that they get now from these financial levers and the money that they used to spend on the players, that doesn't affect their salary cap because that's based on last season. That's based on their profit and loss and all that kind of stuff from last season. So the cash they have now still does not change that number that was in that computer. So it is no coincidence, it must be said, that as you mentioned, they can't register these players. They go to register them, they can't do it, and then suddenly 24 hours later, it's like De Jong's leaving next week. Because they've realized, shit, we have to. We've been sort of trying to figure out, see if we could stay, see if he'd accept a wage reduction. Doesn't look like he wants to do that, or he's going to do that. Basically, like, right, he's got to go next week because we've got to register these players. We've got to do something quickly. So maybe that's what's expedited this whole process. Maybe that's why now things are getting a little bit nasty on the Barcelona side of things with De Jong going, before we were like, well, we would like to keep you. Now it's like, no, seriously, you're going to have to go, mate.
Yeah, and even then, like, let's not dress this up. I know Barcelona are a really badly run club, hence they're in the situation that they're in. You could say, nah, even though they still managed to get players and have built a decent team, you still have to say they're a poorly run club, because any club that is as big as that and has run themselves into the ground, and having to be in this situation means you poorly run. Even though they've managed to get players under it, you could say they've been really sneaky at being able to operate with these losses. That's good. But the fact that you're in this mess means you wasn't very well run, clearly. But it, even though that's happened, it's like they still would have known, like I said, that they known they needed to get rid of him the whole time, which is why they've entertained Manchester United, why they agreed a fee with Manchester United, and also why, a few days ago, however long it was, they started talking with Chelsea, because as many offers for the player, the better. And Laporta was saying on record, and no, you can't take everything he says seriously, but he was saying there are important offers for Frankie de Jong. Do you know what I mean? There are. Manchester United definitely being one of them, and clearly Chelsea are as well. So I just think I just have no idea, and that's the
Yeah.
thing that's really annoying about this, is that, and people, I've seen some people in the comments, and rightly so, how's your porridge now? We all said, this deal ages ago, but I still think we were fair and it's about opinion. I still think we were fair at the time to say, well, there's still a long time left in this deal, and there's still 25 days. There's still over 2 weeks left. Well over 2 weeks left. A lot can change. It's starting to hot up now in terms of he needs to
You're
get
saying
out. But
things are hot?
also,
You say things are
things are
happening?
hot. Things are
Things are
happening.
happening.
Watch this space. Something will happen with Frankie de Jong. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
Something will happen. You know.
Exactly. Tier
But
one.
also, uh, before I throw back to you, I feel like Frankie de Jong could still be like, okay, that's fine. There you go. You're really in the shit now. This is why I was playing it this way. Let's not forget that. Remember, my opinion has always been Frankie de Jong is doing what I would have done in this situation, which is sit tight. I ain't going anywhere. I'm saying I'm staying. I'm giving you the issue. And now it looks like that's starting to transpire, because with La Liga saying you can't register any players, you need to get rid of more, or you can't register X, Y, Z. Now Frankie's going, and his agent's going, right, talk to us about that 17 million then, because now it's the time. So how do we not know that this was the ploy and the strategy all along, to get to these latter stages where it's near the beginning of the season? You've got to register players. You can't register Rafinha. You can't register Lewandowski. You've signed them, but you can't actually register them to play in the season. Big problem for you. So talk to me about my money. Run me my peas. What's going on?
I think also what I did want to say is I don't, from what we've been saying this morning, I don't want it to come across as like we're downplaying the fact that he could join Chelsea, because that's a real possibility. I think that the reason why maybe we might be somewhat calmer than maybe some others is because I feel like personally we've heard it all before this summer. All before we've heard that and that I can see a thing in front of me right now where it was again Paul Hurst from the Times, June 27, the deal of De Jong to Manchester United could be announced this week. That was the end of June. We have heard that before, and again, that's not to say that he won't join Chelsea next week or an announcement won't be made that they could. That could very much happen, and that could very much happen. And as we spoke about before, that is just the biggest of L's that United could take this summer. And when you've committed your entire transfer window pretty much, and the amount of time you spent doing that deal for him not only to leave and then go to Chelsea would be huge.
Just really quickly. Reports coming in from James Robson here from Goal. I think he used to be at the
Yeah,
Athletic.
I've just seen that as well.
He's basically said in the last 20 minutes that Ten Hag is driving the pursuit of De Jong. That would make sense. His relationship with him again points to belief at Manchester United a deal will eventually be struck. Other targets could have been secured quicker, but it is clear Ten Hag is fixed on the players he wants this summer. It is not a case of De Jong or nothing, but so that again fits in with what we've been told by the club, and also what the club are just telling all of the outlets. And someone put it there in a super chat, which I will go to now, if Josh is ready. Well, I'll do the first super chat. I'll do it in order. Mr. Faith says, with Romero, he gets misquoted a lot of times because he says things based on opinion/feelings. To me, if Frankie de Jong ends up at Chelsea, we are in the mud. 100% agree with that. Sean Collins says, just doesn't make sense. This is the one. Just doesn't make sense to go for a player for over 2 months if he didn't give a hint he wanted to come. Nobody knows. And Zayn Miassi is back after Arsenal won the league last night at Selhurst Park. Zayn Miassi says, Flex, did you see our masterpiece? Saliba, best defender in England. De Jong won't come. Won't be enough when you face us. Martinelli, Jesus. will get more goals than Kane and Son. So Zayn obviously feeling
Look,
very happy
I've
and excited
give
today.
some credit to Arsenal on the overview on the Premier League show. I predicted they were going to lose, and
Yeah,
people have let me know. And to be fair, I thought they played really, really well, particularly first half. I thought they
yeah,
second half at points kind of rode their luck a little bit, but you need to away Selhurst Park. And I
yeah.
thought Jesus and Zinchenko were excellent. I thought they were really, really good.
Oh,
They look
there you go.
sharp. They look
There you
sharp.
go. I tried to tell you that yesterday, mate. I didn't actually see the game. I was out. I was out for a meal, but I saw some of the highlights afterwards and was looking on social media to see
Yeah, they
how
played
everyone was
well.
talking about Arsenal. And yes, I think Julian said on AFTV that 20 minutes is the best football they've played since the Invincibles. So they are clearly, yeah, they're doing a lot. 2001 says, you both are legends. I'm fed up of Frankie De Jong. We could get Fabian Ruiz and Mateus Ruiz for the same price. What do you both think? I just think we're all in it for the long game with Frankie De Jong, which is what I was just about to go on to or continue with just about after these super chats. 2001, we're all in. Ten Hag wants him. Sachiv says, Zayn thinks that Arsenal already won the league. LOL, he does. And Shavam says, I hope that burn of a club Barca gets liquidated. Um, how do you really feel about Barca? Let us know, Shavam. Um, but back to what James Robson was saying. He's basically saying that Ten Hag still wants him. And he says, on top of De Jong, Ten Hag also wants to add another forward to his squad as well as a right back. Man United remain encouraged that De Jong will sign before deadline day at the start of next month. So, off the back of hearing the Gerard Romero thing, we're already getting domestic journalists linked with the club coming out and reiterating that Manchester United stance. And I can tell you off experience, that is getting that line in of into the club and saying, look, this has just come out. What are you talking about here? Um, and they reiterate the stance. Do you know what I mean? They reiterate the stance, and that's what I mean. We just don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, not wanting to downplay it because I do think there's a real possibility he could go to Chelsea. As we spoke about a couple of days ago, when Ornstein first came out and said Chelsea are in talks for De Jong and they hope to secure a deal, the reaction at the time was from both of us was, why now? Like what now? What's
Yeah, they've been
prompted
encouraged.
what's prompted them to step in now? What have they heard basically? Because they've been waiting the whole time. They've been looking at United, pointing and laughing, going, look at them
Mm,
negotiating all of this time. We'll wait and see what happens. We'll wait and see what deal they secure, how much it is. So when we do want to come in, we know exactly what it's going to cost us. Two, we'll wait till we hear something from either Barcelona, but more importantly, the player that we should step in. They've stepped in. Clearly, they've heard something, whether it's from his agent, whether it's from Barcelona, whether it's from intermediaries, we don't know. They've stepped in. So the fact that Romero would come out today and say that he prefers to join Chelsea, you can't overlook that. You can't. And what do Chelsea have that Manchester United don't? Champions League football, probably the biggest. And two, the location thing. I know that when you bring up the location thing, some people get a bit annoyed and they go, "Well, who cares about the location?" All that kind of stuff. It matters to some people. It really does. It matters to family members, and it would matter to someone that doesn't want to leave the club they're leaving right now. It really would. Then you start to get pedantic about that kind of stuff, right? Going, actually, wow, okay. If I'm going to leave, which I don't want to do, I want to go somewhere I like to live. I don't want, maybe I don't want to go to Manchester. Maybe I want to go to the capital. Maybe I want to go to London. That's not me saying it's better than the other, but those things play into it as well. So I'm sure as well, thinking about it, Flex, do you think that Eric Ten Hag, if he has been in this constant communication with Frankie that we've heard all summer, do you reckon he sees something
exactly.
this morning, picks up the phone and goes, what the F? What's going on? You
Yeah,
telling me this is
you
real?
sure? I don't know. I mean, we will never know what's truly going on behind the scenes, but it's like not only will Manchester United be burnt by this and we'll get the custard pie, because I did see some reports saying that Manchester United are like bewildered at the fact that they look bad when this is Barca's failings. Like
Yeah, I mean, I
I
saw that, but
saw that.
I saw that, and I went, "Oh, I can understand their confusion, but surely they have to understand the perception
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that
100%.
one, it's taken too long, and it's a player that reports are that maybe he doesn't want to come. Like that,
Exactly,
that's
and a
the
lot
scrutiny,
it's
isn't
gonna
it?
it's gonna happen, but obviously for them to think that it's because again they know obviously all the ins and outs of what's going on with the deal and the conversations they've had, and they're saying that the conversations that they've had have been positive, and we're not going to be here if the player didn't tell us he wanted to come, not this long. And also, like I was going to say, it's not just Man United who get burnt, it's not just Man United who get embarrassed. It's actually Ten Hag if he doesn't come, because Ten Hag is actually the only pull of what we have for even getting him. There's no
And that'll
way
be
Frankie de Jong,
twice. That'll be
and
twice this
that'll
summer
be
because it
twice.
happened with Timber. Timber slam dunk. He loves Ten Hag. He said no.
Yeah,
He
and
said no.
but in fact, though, you could look at it the other way as well and say it shows how bad Manchester United is and where it's at the moment, that Ten Hag, with his fantastic relationship with these type of players, they're still turning us down. And that, though, is more telling, because really, I don't deny he has a fantastic relationship with Timber. Definitely. Just had him, has been developing him really well. A highly tipped youngster. I don't doubt that he's got a fantastic relationship with Frankie de Jong. But when these players look at what Manchester United is, even your best mate, it's like you, Owen, saying like, Flex, come over to here with me, whatever. And like, we've been friends for years, and like you go, oh, Flex will come if I pick up the phone. Like, he's my guy. Like, come on, he'll support me. And I go, boy, Owen, me and you get on in that, but a place where you're working, it's a bit, I can't really. I'll ring you each week, see how you're getting on in that, but I don't love you that much to actually put myself in that shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I
and
know,
that shows you.
and I said I'd never ask again after that incident. Whatever.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that just shows you actually it's more indicative of where Man United is, that actually even the players that Ten Hag knows out and out and has the best relationship, maybe, well, in Timber's case, didn't want to come, and it could end up that it happens with De Jong. So I think maybe I'm being a bit, because I was basically saying I'm being a bit harsh, maybe saying that it's actually embarrassing for Ten Hag if you can't get him, which it is a little bit, but wouldn't be his fault. It would be the fact that the club is where it is. Do you know what I mean?
And
It's
look
not
at
in
the
the Champions
timeline.
League.
Look at the timeline. It's a deal that United have been involved with for how many weeks? It's like
Yeah.
13, 16, so however many weeks it is. And Chelsea potentially, if De Jong signs for Chelsea next week, they'd have wrapped up this deal in like 7 days.
Yeah.
They'd
Yeah.
have got to do talks
Let us
like
do the legwork,
a
and
week
then
before, and then like 7 days later, oh yeah, he signed.
yeah.
And
What about this? What about
you'd
this
be like,
though?
what?
What about this? Well, two things I wanted to bring to you. One is, I know people might not want to hear it because I think a lot of people are fed up with this and just want to move on, but there is still no decision. Like, let's not
That's the
forget
point.
that.
And again,
Is
not
that
one.
is a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
That's
There
the
is
only
still no
fact we have.
decision. And to your point, and the reason I bring this up is because we have seen it all summer. Or
Yeah.
honestly, especially when you do these morning shows, talk about the transfer news. I am not exaggerating when I say this afternoon, you could see something that says, no, no, no. If he was to leave Barcelona, he'd go to Manchester United over Chelsea. I recall a day, I think it was in June or something like that, where he was linked to Chelsea in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it was, no, he's go to
Yeah,
Man
it's back
United,
to Man
definitely.
United.
And
Yeah.
I think it was the same outlets that were
Yeah.
doing it.
It changes hourly. It
So
changes hourly.
I wouldn't be shocked to see that. I really wouldn't. So, and like you said, there has been no decision. Once you do get your Romanos or your Ornsteins go, look, this club Chelsea's the favourite. That's when you go,
Yeah,
okay.
we're in trouble there. And the second thing I was going to say, I think something Josh actually said. He said, what if Barca said to Chelsea, if you take Aubameyang, we'll basically help you out with De Jong? Because there's some rumors about, Aubameyang going to Chelsea as well. I haven't
I
seen
saw
it
something about,
materialize, but it was a
yeah.
few days ago. But maybe there could be something in that, or do you
I
see
saw
that
something
as?
about Alonso as well. Barca were
Yeah,
chasing Alonso, and it was kind of
exactly.
like, but I'm not sure what weight that really brings in, because to me, this is a decision from De Jong, not a decision from Barcelona. I'm not sure if, Chelsea giving them Marcus Alonso goes, okay, De Jong goes, okay, I'll join Chelsea. De Jong will go where he wants to go ultimately, because he doesn't want to leave Barcelona. So he's definitely not going to go to the lesser club he wants to go to, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if Chelsea sweetening the deal with other players changes or alters De Jong's mind that much, to be honest with you. You could argue then it becomes a case of, Barca reject United's bid over Chelsea's, but they've already had that agreement. So I don't know. I'm not sure how much weight that would really have. I mean, I might be wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, you could sum it up. You could look. It depends which way you want to see it. Innit? You could easily say, well, yeah, they do want Aubameyang. They do need a striker. They do want to get rid of Marcus Alonso. Barcelona do want him. They've wanted him for ages. Let's talk. Yeah, I mean, there's common grounds there, but I just think this Frankie de Jong saga's drawn out so long, and I think Frankie de Jong has played this so cool. Like hasn't said anything in the media. And when he was talking earlier on in the media, it was very much, I don't know what's happened. I'm here. I've got my contract. Like, till I hear otherwise. And since then, he hasn't. When it's got to the real meat of this situation, you haven't heard anything from Frankie de Jong. He's just gone about his business, gone on tour, played, albeit centre back when he's been asked to, and just let all the noise happen around him. I think him and his camp have made sure they've kept a lid on it. It's all Barca doing all the lip service, but I don't know. I would probably sway more so with your side. I
Yeah,
don't know
I don't know.
what.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
So he's been forced out the club, and they go, "Actually, we prefer you go to Chelsea because we're going to get
yeah.
some more players in." You'd be like, "Piss off."
You ain't going to
I'll
listen to
go
them.
where I go where I want to. And I've seen some people in the chat saying about Chelsea paying his wages. Both clubs have agreed that they'll pay that 17 million. That's why United's fee went up. Initially, it was 65, and it went up to, what did it go up to? Was it like 70
75.
something? 75. And that was United going,
That's up
yeah,
front
well,
though.
yeah. That
More
was
than that.
United going. That was United going. Okay, fine. We'll give you that money that you want to do the wages thing, even though they didn't want to do it. So both clubs are happy to do that. So again, I think it's De Jong's choice. I don't think it's Barca can put pressure on him maybe to go to Chelsea. But if I really wanted to stick it to Barca, I'd be like, well, you're not going to. First of all, you can't.
Yeah.
You want to be able to register these players.
Exactly.
that you're
I'm
getting
not
as well.
sure. I'm not sure if Man United offered to pay the whole of that, but I know that they increased the money to kind of
Compensate.
contribute towards goodwill, try speed it up, whatever you want, encourage Barca to accept. Because remember at the beginning, there wasn't even a fee agreed. It was like, I'm in an hour, and that's
Broad
why we got
agreement.
really excited. It was broad agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got really excited when it got to that, a fee was agreed, because we was like, right, that's it. We know that Frankie wants to come. We always knew that. Just had to get past Barcelona because they need a certain amount of money. And then obviously we agreed that fee, and since then we've had nothing. But I do know that they added an extra 10 million on in add-ons. Not add-ons, in cash up front from 65 to 75 to try and increase that. And then I was told that it's no more now. Like, we've reached our ceiling. It's not our problem. Excuse me. We're not going to pay for all of your struggles. You're in debt, not us. Well, we are in debt by loads, and the Glazers won't clear it. But you get what I mean. Like, we're not running how you're running. So yeah, I think this is going to be one that absolutely rolls on and on and on. In true Gerard Romero fashion,
Do you think
keep
it gets
watching.
resolved next week? Do you think it gets resolved next week? He's saying the exit's going to happen next week. Do you think that happens?
Could. Now it
But
could.
that's the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, because they can't, because they actually, you know what I mean, that was coming out from a lot of big journalists, a lot of credible journalists were reporting on that La Liga report that they can't register the players. Changes a lot. Season's about to start. Regardless of whether it's Gerard Romero, who you're not quite sure whether to go left or right with, regardless of who it is, if journalists or big outlets are coming to the front now, and it's definitely true that Barca can't sign the players, something has to give. Something, A or B, needs to happen, innit? So something's going to happen. Either Barca find more miraculous levers and money and convince them to let them sign players, and De Jong's still there, and we're like, fuck, how's that happened? Or something happens. And I know it's stating the obvious, but that's all we can do with this deal, is state the obvious, because we clearly don't know. I don't think no one knows.
Honestly, I hope it does happen next week. Obviously, one being if he came to United, clearly I would hope it happened sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
but
but one
even
way
if
or
he
the
goes,
other.
even if he goes
Yeah.
to Chelsea and we take that massive hour, and we look him, and we would be embarrassed, and
Oh,
deservedly so, by the
massively.
way.
Massively.
And but trying to take any essence of positivity out of that massive negative that would happen if he did go to Chelsea, say next week, is you go, right, well, at least we've got 2 and a bit weeks to get someone. I don't want to wait till the end of August to still be chasing Frankie de Jong, then for him to join Chelsea and be like, right, we have no time.
What does it look like though? Was it you go for someone who clearly, is it smart to have someone in reserve, right? And I know,
We'd have to.
I know.
If we miss out, we've got to get someone.
But what I'm saying is that, okay, is it smart to have a reserve because, like you said, we have to get someone? Or would you look at it like, well, again, it's just typical. We didn't want Ruben Neves or Tillemans. Like, that's not the direction we wanted to go. It's not the direction Eric Ten Hag wanted to go. You didn't get him as number one choice. Now we're potentially getting a player that we didn't want. Or would that be like, no, that's not necessarily true. It's we didn't want this player if this guy was available, but he wasn't. So
I
Ten
was
Hag
going to say,
would be
I was
happy
going to
with
say,
X.
tough shit. We didn't get him. We got to move on. You know, if we
That's
don't
why you
get
have A,
him,
B, and C.
yeah, if we don't get him, move on. And obviously, Frankie De Jong was Manchester United's top target and Eric Ten Hag's top target. But if we miss out on him because he wanted Champions League football or we wanted whatever, then you would go, oh. Then again, it's major embarrassment on the club because it's like, well, if he if he was never going to come, what were we doing? What were we doing? So either way, like I said, I hope it's resolved next week. One, the best case scenario is that he would join. Two, we have to take that massive out. We have to be embarrassed, and we have to have a major internal look at ourselves and go, what was going on? What was going on with that? And maybe things haven't changed, or maybe things are just the same old Man United as before. But you got to dust yourself off and still do the business. Can't sit around wallowing in it.
No.
And there'll be hysteria, of course there will, and there'll be inquests, and deservedly so, and scrutiny. But you got to move on, get someone
Can
else.
we get a poll going, Josh, of if we miss out on Frankie De Jong, would you rather sign nobody or somebody to wait? Because I saw some people in the comments saying I'd rather I'd rather struggle with no one, and somebody else said no, agreed. Owen would definitely rather get somebody. So if we could get a
But when
poll
did
of that,
but in that case of saying sign no one, and look, Ten Hag said it himself. It's not about signing players. It's
getting
about
the
signing
right players.
the right players.
What if he sees Neves as just not the right
If
player?
if Eric Ten Hag said, I say Frankie De Jong does go to Chelsea, and Eric Ten Hag says, well, I don't want anyone this summer.
I'll
Then
play Fred and Eriksen until
yeah,
January.
I'll do that until someone else comes up. Then you would go, okay, fair enough. The manager's choice. That's what the manager wants. But why would Ruben Neves be the alternative or the plan B if he doesn't want him? Surely that they would have those discussions to go, do you like Ruben Neves? Yeah, I'd have him. Yeah. If we don't get Frankie. I mean, clearly, again, it's his number one target, but that would be incredibly stubborn, would it not? Just be like, well, no one then. I'll wait till next summer till we can get Jude Bellingham or Declan Rice if we can get him. Who knows what we're going to do this season? If we're not in the Champions League again, no chance.
I'm actually thinking how strong I believe on both of these points, because I actually do see in true Fleck style. I'm actually being serious there. I'm actually trying to not be on the fence on this and actually go one way or the other. But I actually really do feel I see both sides because it would be on one hand, yeah, it would be so Man United like to chase one thing that you've shown your cards for. You've taken your cards away from your chest and shown them, ironically, and said that you want this guy and this guy only. Hence, you've gone into the transfer long game, end game. Do you know what I mean? You've gone right to the end for this guy because the manager has made it so clear that that's who I want. I don't want you to stop looking at him. I want you to keep going because that's who I need. I don't want you to go for Tillemans now. I don't want you to go for Neves. I don't want you to go for Ndidi. I don't want you to go for Sangaré or whoever. Who's the one who went to Villa on a free that we was talking about? Kamara. I don't want any of these guys. I want Frankie De Jong. And at the beginning, we're like, good, the club's backing him, we're getting this stuff. And then it's like, we don't get him. And then we just go for someone who we clearly didn't want. But then it's like,
but did we clearly not want him?
If you don't have the list of potentials, then you're not doing your job right. The reason other clubs do it, right, you don't get this target, right, so it means we can get him, especially if Frankie actually moves club. If Frankie stays at Barca, you could argue it was the wages thing, it didn't get sorted, we have to go back in Jan. Do you know what I mean? There might be a new tactic there. But trying to get back into bed with Barcelona after that happened and wait till Jan, even then you'd be like, mate, I don't know about that. Manchester United's got to move on. We've got to get, like, how hard is it? Actually, yeah, no, we've got to get someone. I agree now. Because how hard is it to get a player to move in a different direction from McTominay and Fred? How hard is that?
And also, my point would be that if they're having these scouting recruitment meetings, I know that De Jong's the prime target. I know that's the guy he wants. We wouldn't still be even having this conversation if Eric Ten Hag did not want Frankie De Jong, clearly.
100%.
But they would have absolutely had the discussion of, okay, what's the list? You don't just go, you don't just go, okay, who are you thinking of for the sixth role? Frankie De Jong. Okay, anyone else? No. What if he doesn't come? Well, he is going to come. You sure? That's just, if that is the case, then again, shame on United and shame on everyone in those meetings, because you would say, well, if you don't,
they've said they've got alternatives.
If you don't prepare, then you're preparing to fail, essentially. And that would
Yeah,
be the issue there. And I mean, hasn't the reports been out there that there are alternatives, and United feel like the work has almost already been done on some of those alternatives, in that if this De Jong deal doesn't happen, they can switch and go to those alternatives straight away. You know,
that's what
I
they told us last week. That's what they told the channel last week. They said that literally exactly what you just said there. So you're right. I feel like that's what they've said, but that at the same time maybe gave me a few alarm bells at the same, like, in a weird way. Although it's good to hear, it's like, till I see that and
Yeah, I
see
mean,
who
it's
it
been
is.
said several times this summer, hasn't it, that there are a list of alternatives, but De Jong's the
Yeah,
focus. De Jong's a priority.
yeah,
It would be on top of taking that out and taking that embarrassment, and they'll have to take it if De Jong goes to Chelsea. Clearly, on
yeah,
top of that, you then want to wallow in it and go, yeah, we're all embarrassed. We're just not going to go after anyone now. On top of
yeah.
the
Because you can move
embarrassment of
the
not sign, on top of the embarrassment of
yeah.
not signing the player you want, then you
We're
sign
not
no
getting
one.
anyone.
Then you
Yeah,
sign no one.
and if you do get a Neves, I don't think Neves is it. I don't. I really don't. I don't think he's got enough leg speed. I don't think he gets about the pitch well enough. I think a lot of the way he plays is just really good for Wolves. Back five, secured. I don't know, and I could be getting it completely wrong. I saw some stats the other day about his short passing wasn't great, but his long passing really was. And it's about styles, and it styles makes fights, as they say in boxing. I get it. I'm not completely writing him off. Might get him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a disgrace if we get him. Just him and Tillemans. I've just never. I've always thought we've wanted them just because they're better than Fred. Sorry, or better than McTominay. But I'm not sure what level they actually are for the level we need, in my opinion. But I do think they're good players. I think they've got ability, but I'm just not convinced that they are
And
the
yeah,
it.
and make no mistake, they're both a downgrade from Frankie De Jong. I think
Oh,
that's safe.
massive,
That's safe to say.
100%.
And the argument could also be made, and maybe this is the reason why maybe they wouldn't sign them, is that are they the long term option for Man United in that position under Eric Ten Hag? Probably not. Maybe not.
Exactly.
And this is the position that Ten Hag wants to build the team around. But then you're saying you're happy to do the whole season, or at least a portion of the season, with Fred, and eventually you've got to figure out who that long term person is going to be.
Yeah,
You know, do
but
they
then
have
that's
that
why he
person?
might
Do they
need
have
more
that person
time.
in do they
Exactly.
how much
Is
more
that
time do you need? How much more
well?
time do
And
you need?
also, is that person attainable? Because they've then spent all this time trying to get Frankie De Jong. That, trying to get somebody else who was in that mold may take a while because of their own fault of taking so long doing it this way around. 71% of people are saying, 72% now, obviously, are saying, if we miss out on Frankie De Jong, who would you rather sign, someone or no one? It's like they're two actual players called someone and no one.
Yeah.
Um, 72% say they would rather sign someone. So I think that's fairly unanimous there. Let's get to the super chats here. The last one we read was the Zane one. I hope the cup gets liquidated was the last one, actually. So there, PS. Says Robson piece written at 2 p.m. Things changed. Okay, fair enough. So he wrote that yesterday at 2 p.m. Fair enough. Is what PS is saying there. But I just saw him tweet it in the last 22 minutes. So he was still saying it's relevant now. Sachiv says, Barca is a cheat and I hope they get relegated. Agreed, Sachiv, agreed. And Shivam says, we are going with a worse squad than last season. Is the squad worse than last season?
I can understand why people would say that, i.e., we've lost players.
Pogba wasn't turning to pulling up trees, and neither was
No,
Lingard, was he?
Cavani didn't play.
Cavani wasn't there. It
We've
is
got
by
players.
name, but by
But in terms of the
reality,
people that played,
yeah,
it's
it's the same.
essentially the same, really, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, I think by numbers, if you're saying, "Oh, you're going to be able to bring Pogba off the bench," or you can at least start Pogba and try and get a tune, but the Pogba, that's the difference. That's the hard bit about looking at players who it's the shelf life has expired. They just need to go. Like, you know what I mean? But obviously, yeah,
yeah, you
Mata
would say like
is better
if we
than
had a
Chong.
squad that had Pogba in there at the moment, or Cavani, well, they're big names, you know, and they've done stuff in the past. But we
Yeah,
also would have to forget what they haven't done for United. The biggest and best signing for United this summer still is the manager.
yeah,
That's
100%.
what we've got.
Paul Pogba was leaving, and our thought wasn't, "Oh my God, what on earth are we going to do to replace Paul Pogba's goals and assists?" It wasn't that. How are we going to dictate games now? We ain't got Paul Pogba. It was it's probably about time, innit? We've tried to get it, both parties. It just wasn't working. He had to go. Like that's how we ended up leaving. Where in the years up to Paul Pogba, I'm in an iron where we was going to go. We were like, say what you want, mate. I know it's a bit mad with Pogba and that, but I tell you what, gonna have to replace him. By the end of it, there was no talk about who's going to fill his boots. He was hardly even playing.
Yeah, I
So
suppose you could
it
say
became about the team.
in the case of people like, say, Cavani, the assumption was that, yeah, he didn't play, but the assumption was we would replace him with another striker or something, which we haven't.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
Exactly. So fair play, fair play. I see what you're saying there, Chevron. And the real Ronaldo says, Flex, we ended up losing Kim Min Jae to Napoli. Napoli
Oh,
is always snapping up the future defensive gods. Even our UV scout KG couldn't spot the talent from Kim Min Jae clips. Always miss international gems like him. And you know what? The real Ronaldo,
fair
you
play.
were on that.
Bang
I
on.
didn't even think it was a real person. I was like, I
No,
don't know. I'm not sure about this. And then I saw it was a real person, and we saw a comps vid, and it was just him just smashing people a bit. And then, Koulibaly goes to Chelsea and they go and sign
yeah, I
Kim Min
remember
Jae.
when
So
I started seeing the stuff about Romano going, "Oh yeah, Napoli going to sign Kim Min Jae." I went, "Oh, the real Ronaldo."
yeah,
Yeah,
props to you.
impressive.
Maybe
Yeah,
we need to
absolutely.
sack the scout, because that scout isn't KG. I don't know why people keep
No, different
associating the two.
people.
Different people. But maybe we need to sack that scout and get the real Ronaldo in, because the real Ronaldo called this and said you need to be looking at Kim Min Jae. Now, I'm not saying Napoli are the best team in Europe, but you know they're fairly big, and Koulibaly's big
Yeah,
shoes
not
to
bad.
fill. So there you go. Shivan Gosh says, "What if our first choices are unavailable every year?" Well, I mean, you got to get them at some point. They can't keep
What
one of
if
them,
what
like I say,
if
keep shooting your shot. You got to get one first choice target.
what if we need to be realistic with our first choices? Maybe our first choices are just completely unattainable, and United need to actually take a step back and realize we can't get this. But why would Frankie de Jong want to join us?
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
remember I was saying when people are saying players shouldn't need convincing to come to this club. Well, yes, they do, because we're shit, and have been for a while. Do you know what I mean? We're going for a rebuild. Miles Johnson says Lissandro was an alternative. Yeah, it was an alternative to what the club wanted versus what the manager wanted, and the club went, "We'll go with the manager." There's no way Man United would. Well, I say no way. In my opinion, I don't think there's any way that Man United was scouting Martinez by themselves, Malacia by themselves. They maybe would have gone for Ericsson, maybe just to add some depth, and he was free. But even the Ten Hag influence over that just fits a player he knows, player who can play the same way. So the three players we've got, make no mistake, are heavily influenced by Ten Hag, and I think it'll be
Yeah.
unfair to say. I don't think it was our number one target going into the transfer window, trying to get a left back. Definitely wasn't, but it was one of Ten Hag's top ones, because as soon as he became available, Ten Hag swooped in. Um,
Yeah.
Emmanuel says, I want Neves just because he is a deep line player. We will always need that long range passer for counters. We won't turn prime Barca this season. Fair enough. And Tapua says, will Ten Hag be more successful than Rodgers with Liverpool and Pochettino with Spurs in the Premier League? If so, then that actually means a title. But when? Well, yeah, exactly. Those two came close to titles, or especially Liverpool did with Rodgers. Spurs came second in one season, didn't they? Under Poch. But if he can start putting us to those sorts of areas, then of course that would be good. Vishal, is the member for 2 months of the UV Members Club. Big up to you. And he says we will have egg on our face if Frankie de Jong goes elsewhere. Agreed. Honestly, we can't get all the players we need in one window. We need to sit tight for a while. So a little bit of patience there from Vishal also. Just quickly, one, smash a like on the video, guys. I was looking at numbers earlier on. We were at about 2.5K, gone down to about 2,300 now, but we're at near about 2.5K, and we've only got 384 likes. Do you know what I mean? So,
This is one where again we
I'd-
can get up to 1,000. I think we can
yeah,
do it. We
I
can do
don't
it.
see why not. Yeah, I don't see why not. If everybody smashes the like button now, I know we've had a lot to talk about, so it's been exciting. It's been in depth. It's been riveting. But if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. If we can get 1,000, that would be absolutely amazing. I think it'd be a big push. About 7 minutes left of the show, but if we can get to 1,000, you lot would be absolutely dope. So yeah, please support the channel if you can, and smash like on the video. Owen, the fullback situation, little bit going on there.
Yeah, so Laurie Whitwell has actually written a really interesting piece on the fullback situation at Manchester United, and particularly highlighted Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who, of course, is a player that it's been reported is Manchester United are open to him leaving this summer. United looking to possibly replace him with another right back. And he's written some interesting bits in this article. So he has said, quote, sources have said Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not Eric Ten Hag's preferred profile of player. Although an excellent one-on-one defender, Wan-Bissaka is hesitant going forward. Crystal Palace's inquiry earlier this summer was made in the expectation that an offer would be entertained by United, implying that possibly it wasn't. It continues, privately, people accept that trumpeting how Wan-Bissaka was chosen from a selection of 804 right backs was unwise. That might be the little comment of the day, that that ending bit. Privately, we've accepted that saying that we chose Wan-Bissaka out of 804 right backs might have been a little bit unwise. You think? You think that was unwise? Kind of putting a bit of pressure on him, going, we chose this guy out of over 800 right backs, and then if he turns out not to be the guy, they go, probably wasn't the best idea, actually. That, you know, I get build up and back your guy, but my word,
Jesus
come on.
Christ. I prefer not to speak.
I mean, it is one of those, isn't it, where you just go, God, for God's sake.
I prefer not to speak. I mean, he plays like he's been playing like someone who's maybe 840 something choice. It's
You
not.
go to him, why did you do that? You go, it might have been a bit unwise, yeah. Unwise?
Yeah. And then you see some reports that they were saying that they were quite relaxed over it. If he's still a Manchester United player, fine.
Yeah.
But they
then
would
we're
listen to the
content with it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they would listen to the right offers. And then you saw that Manchester United prioritised right back, but Eric Ten Hag went for Malacia when he saw that he was available, saw
Yeah.
it was a too good an opportunity. So maybe it was something that Man United can't do both. They weren't in for a left and a right back. I don't think they was. I never saw a left back being something to do this summer because we had so much to sort. You know, remember when we was doing like before the transfer window opened, it was getting to the end of the season. I think we were talking on quite a few shows saying like, you know, where should we start and what do you think we'll get? And I think you said we'll sign 4 players, didn't you? And I think you said,
4 was my number, yeah.
yeah, 4 was your number. And I remember we were sort of saying we all said right back because we knew the situation with Wan-Bissaka. And to be fair, Dalot was coming off the back of being just as bad. Let's not even just make it just about Wan-Bissaka. And KG was big on that until he saw Dalot in person on tour and conceded defeat. You know, KG was reminding us every day with the stats that there's no Amazon delivery with this guy. What is Dalot doing? For everyone saying how much better he is than Wan-Bissaka, what's he produced? But even then, we was trying to tell KG about the eye test. I was like, yeah, but you know, Dalot can control the ball properly. He can kick it properly. Like he can. Do you know what I mean? He could do. There's something there to work with at least, and we're seeing that on tour already. But yeah, but to be respectful to Wan-Bissaka, you know, he played to the best of his abilities, you know, put it in every single game. It's just under Eric Ten Hag, you can even see on tour, limited game time. Really, really limited game time.
That's what Laurie Whitwell
Ethan
said.
Laird was even getting in ahead of him.
Yeah, these preseason events have even added weight to his opinion.
I
on
thought he was just
Wan-Bissaka,
injured or
basically
something. He
saying,
couldn't even get any
No.
game time at all.
Yeah, especially that game. He wasn't even on the bench. Wasn't even on the
No.
bench against Rayo Vallecano, and
That's
that
crazy.
was damning. And it does make you wonder, though. Like you said, like clearly he almost prefers Ethan Laird over Wan-Bissaka, but Laird's going out on loan. And yeah, because he needs game time. But you would also say, well, then you're saying that your backup right back is a player that you don't like or you
Yeah.
don't rate. You know,
Don't rate.
Um,
And it's talking
which is
about what's
surprising.
his name coming in forever, coming in instead. Brandon Williams
Yeah,
potentially. You know,
yeah, saying
because he
because
prefers him being a right back. And
because
he's
he
right
can be a
footed.
right back. Exactly.
KG
That's
won't be
why.
happy about
That's
that.
no, but that's also then. That's why I seem surprised when they go, yeah, but if he stays, you know, we'll be happy with that. Well, clearly not. Clearly,
No.
you won't be happy with that, you know, because you know you're not playing him, and that's a player that you know you can sound get some money for. We're not going to recoup what we spent, clearly. But as the report says, Palace put in the inquiry earlier this summer under the expectation of, oh, you want to get rid of him, don't you? And then I guess when it was sort of rebuffed a little bit, they're like, well, what's going on then? And then, like you said, you don't see him play many games in preseason. You go, well, clearly you don't want him then. So what's going on?
Yeah, 100%. Shivam Ghosh, super chat here says, if Frankie de Jong goes to Chelsea, we should go for Rice. Oh, that's never going to happen. That
Yeah, we're not getting
never,
Declan Rice.
never. You know, talk about 150 million. It's just never going to happen.
What do you even done?
No, exactly. But big up Shivam. Thanks for the super chat. Sibbo1 says, with Eric Ten Hag, you see what he's trying to do. Trust the manager and relax. Let's see where we are in November/December. Well, yeah, going into the World Cup, let's see where we're at. That's, you know, obviously, of course. If he says De Jong, it's De Jong. Simple. Sibbo being really, you know, patient there.
I agree. I agree. But if he says De Jong, it's De Jong. I agree with that. But if De Jong doesn't join us,
Then what?
then it's got to
Yeah.
be then
Then it has to be someone else.
then who does
Yeah.
he say? If he
Yeah.
says it's Neves, it's Neves. You know.
Yeah, but I think agreed. I agree with the trust in the manager in terms of having an alternative if he definitely couldn't get him, because obviously if we definitely can't get him like forever, it would just go down as remember when we was in for Frankie Jong, we just couldn't make it work. Do you know what I
I
mean?
tell you
Something that
what,
happens.
though, not wanting to be like negative, but again, with the sort of a bit of negativity, Martial injured, Ronaldo not ready. If De Jong goes to Chelsea, and if we lose tomorrow,
Forget it.
you know what I mean?
I don't even want to. I don't even De Jong not going Chelsea. If we lose tomorrow, or even don't win, if we don't win tomorrow, and it doesn't change anything for the long term, but just it won't help for the short term in terms
The
of the feeling.
initial reaction at the moment.
It will be battle down the hatches straight away. Obviously it's not to sack Ten Hag, is it? But rightly so, though. To be fair, even though it's only one
Yeah.
game, and we'd have to give a bit of context and try and
And I don't
calm it
think people
down.
would
And
blame Ten Hag. I don't think the anger would be
exactly
towards
that,
it. The anger would be
exactly
at the
that.
club. The anger would be at Murto. It would be at
He's not
Arnold. It'd
ready
be
for the
obviously, of
season.
course, the Glazers, and it should be.
Yeah,
But
and
that's what it
and
would
you know
be.
what? And there's a protest tomorrow, and I think it's important to say, still be vocal about that. Still be vocal about that. I think there is. Although we've been kind of calm and measured about it, which we'll always be. We'll call out whatever we see. But I think there's been enough evidence by the first game of the season is tomorrow on the 7th. There's been enough evidence for people who have been in the camp of, I'm not celebrating anything different till I see it. There's enough evidence for them to say, piss all's changed. You're like, we've got 3 players. Yes, the manager won them. Yes, I get that. But for a team that needed so much by this date, we would definitely have wanted to be further along and seen the manager more backed. And like you said, this is not Ten Hag's fault. He's already started the season with at least an arm behind his back, minimum. At least, I'd say. What do you think?
We're not ready.
Yeah,
We're not ready, clearly. And I remember there's I don't know if it's a picture or a meme or whatever of him sitting down doing an interview when he was at Ajax saying a coach can't work miracles, and we are kind of asking that
yeah,
at the moment.
yeah,
So you're right. We're not ready. I do think we'll sign more players, and it'll be
yeah,
interesting to see, depending on what that result is tomorrow, how that will expedite things. Because make no mistake, if it is bad, there will be panic stations, and there should be.
yeah.
If we lose tomorrow, the scrutiny should absolutely be on the club, and it's 100% justified. And that scrutiny will continue if De Jong
Until
goes to
things
Chelsea as
change.
well.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. PS says, if De Jong doesn't come, can Garner step up? Garner didn't, I don't know, he didn't have the best of pre-seasons. I think he was injured for the first couple, came in a little
Yeah.
bit towards the end. I don't think he would be initially in Eric Ten Hag's plans as it stands. We did speak to Jimmy, actually, not on camera, but he was just basically saying that he wants to go and play football now. He's got nearly 100 championship appearances. That's a lot of experience. Got promoted with Nottingham Forest last year. You forget that. He could easily be at Forest now, about to start the season with
And
Lingard and Henderson.
he'd
Do you
be
know what I mean?
integral in that team this
And
season.
he'd be
Yeah.
integral, playing every game. So I wouldn't rule out a late move for him. Forest have spent a lot of money, but that could be good. Ahmed says, you guys should check Gerald Romero's tweets through. Rashad Rahman on Twitter about Frankie de Jong. He says it's a feeling, just like you said. No one knows. That's what we're saying, Ahmed. Exactly. No one really knows. The real Ronaldo says Kim Min Jae is the same situation as Son because he's Asian. The UK naturally looks down on them. They have to try 10 times harder, have undeniable stats, or holding up a golden boot. This will bite us as Manchester United. I do feel that like players, not just specifically Asian players, but it could be African players, it could be South American players, wherever, and players from the Far East. I think there is that lack of awareness of how good some of those players are out there, and they probably do the bit where the Real Ronaldo saying they need to have unbelievable stats or a golden boot to be in the forefront. Maybe there is a little bit of that. But for me personally, I just don't watch a lot of football outside of the Premier League. I'll be honest about that. I never try and claim that I do. So yeah, interesting that you got that one right. Sandeep says, I think United going to sign De Jong or any other midfielder and announce it after the Liverpool game. Imagine that, off the back of I'm not going to say what the result will be against Liverpool, but we'll see. But off the back of whatever that result is, here's Frankie de Jong. Maybe. Will the Real later says, I only believe we ain't getting Frankie de Jong when we start getting heavily linked with other alternatives. Till then, I think Eric Ten Hag has some type of assurance from the player, hence why we are still in for him. See where you're going with that. And Mark Harris says, what does the scouting team do? Netflix, sack them. There you go. Strong words there from Mark Harris to take us out of the show. To finish off the poll, 71% said sign someone, 29% sign no one if we don't get Frankie de Jong. So thank you for everybody for taking part in the poll. And we will have the preview. We will have the preview later on, which was supposed to be
originally
now,
planned
but
preview.
there was too much to talk about, man. So yeah, you will get that later on today, guys. Preview. It is hotting up. The Premier League has begun. Arsenal are top of the league. Liverpool, Fulham at 12:30. Can't see
Oh,
more
can I
Fulham.
just say as well before we wrap things up?
Yes,
So
go for it.
obviously, Fantasy Premier League. If you haven't joined it, obviously you can still join. I don't know when your points get added into our league, but there is something like 1,072 people that have joined. There's a load of people
Wow.
in the United View Fantasy. So thank you for joining if you have already. 1,072 people. I checked this morning after one game, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
and bottom of the league. Out of 1,072 people, bottom
Wait, is it
of the
me?
league. Nope.
Oh, good.
Bottom
Is
of
it
the
you?
league. Nope. 1,072 people is KG, that comedian, with -1 point out of 1,072 people.
No, but is that because he doesn't have any Arsenal players in there? And it must be because they won, so he can't be. How can
It's
he be
because
bottom?
I think his defender,
Yeah, he's got no Arsenal players.
his
There you go.
defender scored an own goal last night. That's why.
Oh, he's got Gay in there, and he's got no Arsenal player. Couldn't happen to a better guy. But then he's going to say you all laughed at me because all the games are today, and then everyone might smash it. So,
Yeah.
that is funny. Well, there you go. Everyone laugh at KG and say, "Ha, you're bottom of the league." Guys, thank you very much for watching. Smash a like on the video on the way out if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. We are out of here, guys. Peace.